Hey, hi. Welcome to Grateful Grandma's Storytime. Really nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Sophia. Can see you. Oh, hi, Kai. Thanks for joining us today. And Logan, nice to see you. Hi, Eric. Hi, everyone. Hi, Owen. Good to see you all. Thanks for joining us for Great Grandma's Storytime. Today I wanted to read a story by the Northwest Coast people who used to tell stories because they didn't have books. So they used storytelling. And they used, so read. The first peoples had no written history, but they taught their children through stories and dances and wearing elaborate costumes. In fact, sometimes they wore masks, like this Thunderbird that's on the drum here. Thunderbird was a mythical, magical creature. Food was plentiful for the Northwest Coast people, so they had a lot of time to create art and tell stories, and their traditions were very rich. During the long winter months, the elders told stories that were with scary creatures that would capture the children's imagination. They taught important lessons, such as not to leave the village area or to be really, really good. In almost all of these stories, the children and the animals are the ones who defeat the scary monsters. Here's a few supernatural creatures from the stories of the people of the Pacific Northwest Coast. And some of these you're going to find in the story that I'm going to read you today called The First Mosquito by Carroll Simpson. There's the blood-sucking monster. And Carroll Simpson does all the illustrating, so she is a really good artist. She does a good job of that. Blood-sucking monster is going to be in this story. Creek woman. Lightning snakes. And some of them are scary, but don't be afraid. It's just a storybook, Owen, okay? Mosquito. Mountain goat. Mouse woman. Thunderbird. There's Thunderbird, just like the drum. Thunderbird is noble and proud, and he has immense powers. He lives on mountains and he comes down to eat whales. If treated with respect, he can help people. 2 lightning snakes live under his wings. And when Thunderbird flaps his wings, thunder claps and shakes the ground. Thunderbird has curved symbol of power on the top of his head and a sharp, curved upper beak. His wings can be outstretched. This 2-headed sea serpent. Look for him in the story. Wind. Another one is wild man of the woods, wild woman of the woods, and woodworm. Now, woodworm has extraordinary superpowers. He can foretell the future and he can guide people in times of trouble. And we could use him right now in the time of this virus that we have around the earth right now. I hope everyone's doing well. I'll start. The First Mosquito. Look at these beautiful pictures. Wow. You might consider, after listening to the story and looking at some of the illustrations, maybe you could draw your own pictures of some of the characters. When the world was new, wild animals roamed, and only a few villages edged the rivers of the Pacific Northwest. The cry of screech owl was a mystery, and the screams of unseen cougar echoed in the forest. Mother bear searched for food, and the call of the wolf haunted the stillness. The people always celebrated their harvests. After they had hung their fish to dry and their fill of salmon, they gathered in the firelight. The elders told amazing stories of mythical creatures, and the children listened and believed. You can see them wearing some costumes in those pictures. You must honor Thunderbird, Yax told his little sister. Yax and his little sister. Sook is her name. and he will help in times of trouble." And as Yak said this, Thunderbird clapped his giant wings, and the ground shook. One day, Sook's father, oh, can you hear thunder? I don't know if you heard that, but there's actual thunder happening right while we're reading that book, Thunderbird. One day, Sook's father packed his bags with candlefish and said to his family, "I will travel over the Goose Trail to the other side of the mountains and visit our friends. I will be back before the snow falls. The two-headed sea serpent will protect you while I am gone." Can you see it? The two-headed sea serpent. There it is. Sook's father had far to travel when he traded goods from the sea with the people on the other side of the Alpine peaks. Mountain Goat protected his trail. It was said that he sent rocks tumbling down upon greedy men. And Sook's father was a kind and a generous man, and he did not have anything to fear. He had always treated Mountain Goat with respect. Yax wanted to follow his father, and he ran after him down the trail. You can see that. But Sook caught up with him and said, "Yax, you cannot leave mother and me." Yax was annoyed by his sister, and on their way back home, he tried to frighten her. He said, "There is wild woman in the woods." "I am not afraid," Sook said. Grandfather had taught Yax to make spears. "They will fly straight and far," said Grandfather. Every day Yax practiced throwing his spear. One day Yax lost his spear in the dense forest, and darkness swallowed him while he looked for it. And Creek Woman silenced the frogs, and Yax was afraid. There he is with Grandfather, and there's Creek Woman. That night, Mother paced the floor inside the lodge. Yax had still not come home. The wise Mouse Woman squeezed through a hole in the planks. "Beware of the blood-sucking monster," she said to Mother. And then the Mouse Woman whispered to Sook, "Remember, the wild man of the woods loves to eat cockles above anything." Cockles, and there she is. Cockles are like clams, like little fish inside of shells. So Mother ran into the storm. "What have you done with my son?" she cried to the weather. The clouds said nothing, but the wind replied, "Your son is lost." Mother was sure the blood-sucking monster had taken her boy. She vowed to rid the forest of the giant beast forever. Yax had found the shelter under an old dead log and fallen asleep. He awoke when he heard a crunching noise. He lay very still and slowly opened his eyes. He was face to face with Woodworm, who said to him, "You must be on your way, lazy boy. If you stay here, you will vanish." Meanwhile, Mother had left the dark forest and built a giant bonfire on the beach. She knew the beast would not be able to resist the beauty of her daughter Sook or the flames of the fire. "Keep the hungry fire satisfied," she told Sook. She had to keep feeding the fire. Then Mother hid behind a giant rock and waited. There's the fire. There's Sook. So Sook remembered the warning of the Mouse Woman, and she placed a bowl of cockles on the path to attract the wild man. She asked Thunderbird to send lightning snakes to flash through the night sky, and so hoping that Yax would see them. And there's Thunderbird with the lightning rods. And Yak saw the lightning snakes explode in the night sky. And then he saw the glow of firelight in the night sky in the west. With its radiance to guide him, he wove his way down the trail toward the fire. Yax could hear something following him. Looking over his shoulder, he saw the wild man of the woods in his shadows. Yak started to run. The wild man was suddenly right behind him. Yak swerved and ran around the fire on the beach. The wild man saw Sook's irresistible bowl of cockles and stopped to devour them. When Yax reached the beach, he thought he was safe. He ran toward his sister. But the blood-sucking monster had been watching from the woods. He jumped over the drooling wild man and leapt out from the black forest. His hungry eyes scanned the shore. The monster's mouth watered when he saw the tender children. There he is. The blood-sucking monster rushed down the beach toward the fire. In horror, Yax and Sook turned to run. But Mother rushed out from hiding. She surprised the monster and pushed him into the fire. The blood-sucking monster burst into a fiery flame. Its fiery ball and exploded into tiny sparks of black ash that flew up into the sky. When the black ash fell, it transformed into thousands of tiny bugs that zoomed and buzzed in the night air. You know these annoying creatures called mosquitoes. And that's the end of the story. See that beautiful illustration again. Often the Northwest Coast people made button blankets. And so, or they used to make them from shells, but then now they do buttons. And this is a beautiful button blanket or a picture of one. Maybe one day we can spend a session of Great Grandma's Storytime and do button blankets together, if you wish. Nice to see you all. Please take care. Bye for now.